Good morning and welcome to the WLBB Community Voice program on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. I'm your host today, Sarah Claudia Kane, and I hope everybody is having a wonderful start to your Wednesday so far. We all know that raising children can be both challenging and so very rewarding. Sometimes it can come with more unique challenges and rewards. And our guest today, Laura Kirk, is here to share about raising a child with special needs. Laura, thank you so much for being here today. And why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our listeners?
Okay, thank you for having me. I am Laura Kirk. I live in Bremen, Georgia, with my husband Walter and my daughter Leslie, and two cats, Fraser and Niles. I grew up in Haralson County. I am my daughter's support coach and take care of her needs daily, taking her out several times a week. I have also worked on a novel, and it was birthed from some oddities that I observed early on in Leslie's Unexplainable Ties to God in Heaven.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I'm very excited to get into that a little bit later. We're both authors, and that's how we really first connected. But before we get into that and into your experience of raising Leslie, tell us a little bit about Leslie, because I have not had the pleasure to meet her, but I've heard some pretty wonderful things.
Okay. Leslie was never diagnosed, nor did she test positive for the normal childhood maladies that directly point to mental impairment. We took her to the Marcus Center in Atlanta for many years, and she was finally diagnosed as developmentally delayed. In today's terms, that would translate to autism. She's 32. She lives with us. She reads sight words, but she does not comprehend reading, really. But we're still working on that, so that may come along. She loves to play video games and is remarkably good at them. She can beat anybody at a video game. She enjoys playing with her cats and going on numerous outings. She loves to go. In fact, we say her middle name is Go. But she also loves having friends and doing things with them.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about her from my husband. They kind of grew up together, and I've heard some things from you too. I know she's a bit of a prayer warrior as well.
She is. We have almost I guess we sort of have a prayer warrior ministry. We have lots of folks call us weekly or sometimes daily asking for prayer. If they have a really big problem or they really need prayer, they want Leslie to pray for them because they know she prays with complete faith. She completely expects God to do the best thing in their life. So
we can learn a lot from that kind of faith, definitely.
Yes.
So when did you first discover or notice that something was different with Leslie?
Well, she didn't keep up with any of the milestones. Back then, that was sort of a big thing. You know, we had the little milestone book that we were sent home with, and we were to watch to make sure they met certain things at certain ages. I didn't worry much since she did eventually catch up on some, but she became stuck at around 12 months. It was obvious she had a vision impairment at that time. She had absolutely no depth perception, and each step she took appeared to be like a walk through deep dark holes and uneven terrain. So while making regular visits to the pediatric neurology eye clinic in Atlanta, it became obvious her unusual vision was an extension of the breakdown between her eyes and her brain. So it was more than just your standard vision depth perception issue. It was an issue with her brain not communicating with her eyes. So then layer by layer, more disabilities were discovered. She would act pretty much like an average child one day, and then the next day, her disabilities would be in full force. Then eventually, she plateaued.
As a parent, you mentioned that her diagnosis didn't really follow the path that, previously was outlined or was, quote, normal. So what was that like, that uncertainty for you as a parent and your husband?
We were new parents. She was our first child. She's our only child. It was very confusing. Of course, it was stressful. But at the same time, during that time, my relationship with Christ was really growing. So as that developed, I really saw a lot of miraculous things. And but I think I was probably in denial for several years. I thought she'd catch up and everything would be okay. But it just, she never did really. So you just have to learn how to accept and do the best you can do.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. That's what I always say, in my situation, doing what you can with what you have.
Exactly.
Is so important, and learning to find joy in the little things.
Yes. Yes.
Well, we know that school can be a challenge for all children, but especially for those who might learn differently or socialize differently or are just different in general. Right. So what were some of those big challenges for Leslie and for you and your husband as she faced school?
I would say the most important need, or the most important challenge, would be to understand. I think the word understand is a big word in this situation, because the parents must realize that the teachers have high hurdles to jump every day. In a classroom full of children with varying disabilities and needs that need to be met. They have multiple forms and continuing education to fulfill. It's a daily tightrope walk between meeting the needs of their students and living up to the standards of the school system. I do not believe a teacher goes into special ed unless they are truly called. I've known so many wonderful, loving teachers, but it took holding my tongue at times and listening attentively while considering the hoops they were forced to jump through. And then the teachers, on the other hand, they must realize that they are probably ignorant to a large portion of the daily challenges of the child and the parents, simply because the child is forced to live in a world he or she does not understand or easily adapt. The parents are faced with acclimating to this unknown world by diving in head first. You've got to dive in whether you're ready or not, or you're prepared, or you're equipped or not. So we have to dive in head first, and it's much like walking through a minefield 24/7. So the bottom line, I would just say this world of special needs is filled with mines and hurdles on a minute-by-minute basis, especially while they are school age and still developing. Quite frankly, I have no idea how anybody navigates this without Jesus.
Yes, and it's something that you can be trained in it, at the highest degree, but at the end of the day, every child, whether they are diagnosed with the same disability or impairment, every child's going to be different and have their own unique challenges. So it's very hard, and I have the utmost respect for all educators, especially those special educators.
Me too.
We are going to take a short break to hear from our sponsors, Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy. We'll be right back here on Community Voice to hear more from our guest, Laura Kirk.
It's a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
At Oak Mountain Academy, we value our grandparents and special friends. Throughout our 60-year legacy of excellence, our grandparents have been a vital component to our success. Friday, September 30th, we celebrated their generosity and continued support at our annual Grandparents' Day celebration. Please join me in thanking all of the grandparents for their amazing contributions to the lives of their beloved grandchildren. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. The Warrior Legacy, celebrating 60 years of excellence. Warrior-minded, warrior-driven, warrior-led.
Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice program here on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. I am your host today, Sarah Claudia Kane, here with our guest, Laura Kirk, who is talking about the challenges and rewards that come from raising a child with special needs. She's been sharing with us about her wonderful, amazing daughter, Leslie. And before the break, we talked a little bit about the challenges that come with going through school. And now I want to shift to moving into adulthood, because just like with school, that can have its own challenges for anybody, but especially navigating it with these differences. So how did you and your husband and Leslie navigate it, and what were some of the biggest challenges moving into adulthood?
I would have to say freedom and a normal transition into middle age for Walter and myself, and young adult life for Leslie. We will never be empty nesters, and we will always have Leslie in our care, which we're wonderful with that. We love her so much, and she's a joy. As the parents, we must learn to navigate a world of no alone time and lots of restrictions, only rare moments of alone time. For Leslie, she has really no independence. If we allow ourselves to become bogged down into that chasm, it would bring our lives to a halt. We have chosen by the grace of God to persevere and embrace the life we have been handed and use it for the glory of God. I like to look at it as a mission that we have given our lives to. It brings our existence into the powerful realm of the supernatural. I still have my down days, of course, but I must lean on Jesus to carry on. Aren't we all really called to do this? So we're grateful for all the good days and all the love and the joy, that Leslie brings into our lives. And I more now see the joy that she brings into other people's lives. I've had so many people say, just being around Leslie makes me feel peaceful, and it just brings peace for me, and it really puts life into perspective, I think, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I see how that lack of independence can be a challenge for both Leslie and for you and your husband, moving right into this time of life where you see other families and their children, grown children, going off and living their own lives, and yes, you're still in this same place, but seeing and hearing the peace and the patience that you have just in your voice when you talk about it. And I know it's not easy, and you do have your hard days, like you said, but hearing that peace and that patience that you have, I think, is a huge testament to your faith, and is a wonderful example for other parents, because I know you are not alone in what you've walked through. I know there's so many other families who have children with similar hardships, or maybe different hardships, but they can still relate. So I see that as another blessing, another way that you are helping others just in your example. And I know there's a lot of people listening who are thankful for that as well. And you've mentioned your faith a lot throughout this, and I think I know the answer to this next question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Where have you and your husband and Leslie too found the greatest support through this?
I would have to say my church family. Mm-hmm. So many contact us, like I said before, daily for prayer. And Leslie really has an amazing prayer ministry, and we're just so thankful for that. We have a list of people that we pray for every night, some of them we've prayed for years, so she has that ministry, and she prays with absolute faith, has no doubt that Jesus will meet each need, the perfect way only he can do. And I definitely gain all of my strength and peace from a very close relationship with Jesus. And that is one thing I am so thankful for throughout this whole journey, is that I don't think my relationship would be as close as it is without the journey and without the challenges we've gone through. It's really, in many ways, brought heaven to earth for us. So that's our biggest strength.
And it's a testament to what God can do with any life.
Exactly.
I believe in any situation. He has given Leslie a purpose. I mean, we all have a purpose to follow Christ and to grow his kingdom, but he's given Leslie this purpose that is greater than a lot of the wishes other people have for their children. I believe having this prayer ministry, it's so amazing to me, her faith, and it's just a blessing, I know, to you and to your husband.
It is.
So what advice would you give to maybe parents or grandparents or family members going through a similar journey?
Probably the same answer as regarding school. Just understanding is the key word. Having a special needs child is a lot to get used to. It takes longer for some parents to adjust, and children. So understanding and just love go a long way. We appreciate all the love that has been showered on us through this journey, and many times that's what has held us up. That's been our literal support physically, mentally, in every way. So I would just say, just offer that love, that listening ear. That goes a long way. So I really appreciate that in my life. So
yes, that listening ear, I think people underestimate it sometimes, because we so badly want to be able to fix things and to be able to change things and help things, that when we don't know how to do that, sometimes it causes us to just ignore the problem altogether and just step away and say, well, I don't know what to do, so be better if I just don't do anything. But sometimes just listening, just being there is the best thing, the best way to help.
Exactly, yes.
Just and trying to understand as well. It can be hard, but listening to what the person's going through, that's going to be the best way to try to really understand what they're going through.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, we're going to take one more break to hear from our sponsors, Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy. We'll be back for one more segment with Laura Kirk to hear more about her novel and her writing journeys. Stay tuned.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
I'm Michael Flynn, Oak Mountain Academy class of 1978.
Katie Flynn, class of 2010.
Justin Flynn, class of 2014.
Logan Flynn, class of 2019.
And I'm Marnie Flynn, current teacher at OMA.
My uncle Richard Orm Flynn, a founding father of Oak Mountain Academy, had a vision to see students become confident leaders who hold a faith-based value system in an academically rigorous environment. We are proud to celebrate 60 years of fulfilling my uncle's vision.
Our family invites you to visit the campus or oakmountain.us today.
Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice program on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. I'm your host today, Sarah Claudia Kane, here with my guest, Laura Kirk, who's been sharing about raising her beautiful, amazing daughter, Leslie. And now we're going to talk about what brought us together really to begin with, and that is writing. So Laura asked me to come speak to a writers club, and from then on out, we kind of bonded over our love for putting words together. I write more devotionals and blogs and things like that, but Laura, you have actually been working on a novel that kind of stems from my understanding from raising Leslie and kind of the miracles that you've seen through that experience. So will you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I've really enjoyed the process. I think in the beginning God gave me the desire to write the novel because He knew it would help me. You know, He knew I needed that outlet, and He knew I needed to tap into more of His power and just the fact that He and His kingdom are all around us. So it has evolved many, many, many times. I've been writing the novel for 20 years, so that's a long time, but not all those years. Many of the years I didn't even pick it up, but I finally finished it, and it is edited, and I will start submissions next week, actually, to a few people and a few agents. So we'll just see where it goes from there, but I do have a little quick elevator pitch, if you want me to share that.
Yes.
Could Earth be an illusion, the real world unseen, in a dimension where a waging war is undetected? What if the most innocent and unvalued among us were sent with only one purpose, to reveal the invisible? So it is a book or a novel about revealing heaven, you know, and we don't have a lot of description of heaven in Scripture, but I have taken every little bitty word that's there regarding heaven, and I've prayed, and my imagination has run wild. So this is definitely a fantastical story. It's of course not true, you know, it wouldn't be a novel otherwise, but it's very fantastical, and I have just let my imagination go wild of what it would be like if Leslie or any special needs child, maybe during their sleep time or a seizure or something like that, that God actually or Jesus or angels come and get them and take them to a fantastical place where they learn about life and Jesus, and they walk beautiful courtyards and participate in an amazing school, and where their ceiling is the galaxies, you know, and they can actually go and experience the galaxies there, you know, while they're in this heavenly school. And anyway, it's just it's a very exciting book.
Yes,
I think
it sounds.
I hope it is for others.
No, it sounds exciting, and it sounds like something that, as you were writing and researching, it probably brought you a lot of comfort thinking about Leslie actually having those experiences,
yes,
you know, in those places of her mind that you can't really reach and we can't really understand. Maybe that is where God is giving her these experiences because her faith is so strong.
Exactly. And
that's come from you and your husband's, you know, how you've raised her, but it also comes from somewhere else. So who knows?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's an amazing story that you've written, and when it's published, I see it helping a lot of other parents and bringing them the same comfort as well.
I hope so. That was a very big motivation as well. I want to help others, to have the hope and the joy that I have gained just through writing the novel. And that's the biggest thing we all need is hope.
Yes.
It's a huge factor in our daily lives to help us to really accomplish what we need to accomplish for the kingdom. So.
Yes, it is so important, and I love that you mentioned how when you first started writing, it was more just for you, and I think that's the case for a lot of us. I know that's how I started out. I started out just journaling and having my own little devotional time, and it kind of spiraled from there. And it's amazing how God can use these moments we've had with Him, these quiet moments and these experiences that we see as so personal to help others when we're willing to share. And that's why I'm so thankful that you've not only been willing to write this amazing story, but also share with us here today. So I thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So is there any sort of timeline? I know you said the book is edited and you're reaching out to people now, trying to kind of find the right fit. Any sort of timeline our listeners can put on their calendars?
Oh, goodness, I wish I could tell you that. But just from what I have been told from the publishing world, it can take 2 years from this point. So it will take finding an agent, then once the agent shops it around and finds a publishing house, from that point, it can take another year, So 2 years is usually the timeline they give you for the whole publishing process. So we'll see. It's in God's hands.
Your patience is amazing because, you said you've been writing it for 20 years. So you can give it a couple more years, I guess. But
yes.
I think it's an amazing story. I think it's something that hasn't really ever been written before. I've never heard of a story quite like that. So I know I'm excited to read it and to see the impact it has, because I see it helping a lot of people, a lot of parents, grandparents, families. And I know your interview today, I pray, has reached some parents or grandparents, families that may be struggling with how to move forward with their child, maybe a child that they can't quite relate to or reach, or is struggling out in this world that, like you said, is hard for them. They don't quite understand.
Right.
And if anybody out there needs that support that you've received and doesn't know where to find it, you mentioned to me earlier that they are always able to reach out to you. So what would be the best way to kind of get in touch with you?
Probably on Facebook. I'm Laura Wood Kirk on Facebook. So that's Laura, Laura, Wood, Wood, Kirk, Kirk on Facebook. So just seek me out, and I'll be glad to speak with whoever, offer comfort. We'll put you on Leslie's prayer list. We'll do whatever you want us to do. So.
Yes, that prayer list you've said, it's like a direct line to God with her faith and her just innocence in her prayer. I can see it being so authentic and so genuine. So very thankful for that. We're thankful for her ministry, and we're thankful for you for sharing with us today, and can't wait to hear more about your book. And all you parents, families out there, reach out. Have that patience, have that understanding, but find that support as well.
Yes.
Thank you, Laura, so much, and thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time here on Community Voice.